Here are 5 ways that emotional intelligence helps you during and even before an argument or a disagreement. Okay, we're obviously going to have a focus on staying calm, staying connected, and definitely not taking things so personally. I was the queen of doing that before I learned about emotional intelligence. And I couldn't stay calm. I would either obviously explode like we all do, right? But also my MO was kind of like to shut down and to go in my shell and to do what they call stonewalling. Like I would just be this, my best friend and I describe it as being an ice queen. Like nothing could get through. I was like, nope, shut down. That's it. Like I'm done kind of thing. And obviously that is unhelpful and that is unproductive and that is unhealthy. It was also really, really hard to stay connected. I wanted to like run, like my fight or flight literally set in. If I had an argument or a disagreement with my husband, let's say, it was just like I had no skills. I didn't know how to deal with it. It makes life very stressful because if you have a partner or someone you live with, and we're not even talking yet about kids, but like, you're not going to agree with them all the time. You're going to see things differently. You're going to have different perceptions on things and you're going to have different experiences. And, you know, we've been raised by different parents as well. So we have this whole different like blueprint of what's okay and what's not, what's appropriate, what isn't, like where we draw the line and how we should deal with things, especially with the kids. So anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about. You can either be like oblivious to this stuff and not watch videos on it, not listen to, podcasts, can't find my words, but you will probably be sitting in the space of like day-to-day stress, right? And struggles and conflict. And it's not a nice space to be. Like I've been there. And I think even if you haven't had the exact same situation or experiences as me, like you know what I'm talking about, right? This stuff resonates with a lot of people because, yeah, we partner up with someone and they don't always think like we do and they don't always respond the way that we expect them to. And, you know, we all have difference of opinions. So let me talk about 5 really powerful and healthy ways that emotional intelligence can help us during these disagreements or arguments so that it doesn't blow up into like World War III, giant explosion, door slamming, people like driving off in the car, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Because we don't need to go down that path. Sometimes we do. And like when we know better, we do better. I love that saying. Like now that you're listening or watching this, you've got some more tools in your toolkit kind of thing. That's always the way I think about emotional intelligence. It's relationship tools and it helps us to just have a few more tools when, you know, to be honest, not many of us were given these tools growing up. You might have been similar to me where we didn't really talk about emotions. We didn't really talk about our feelings. They were dealt with behind closed doors. We swept them under the rug, like sweep, 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 really good at that. And then the next day, everything would be fine. It's like deal with it in your room and come out when you come. So yeah, 0 skills. This stuff is hard. And I've had to like work at it because yeah, it's not in my blueprint. It doesn't come naturally to me. Just before we jump into it, I want to quickly acknowledge the Darug Nation. They are the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, and I pay my respects to all First Nations people, their elders and their ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Let's jump in. Number 1, emotional intelligence helps you pause before reacting. These knee-jerk reactions that we very often have when someone isn't listening or they're not agreeing with us or seeing our point of view, they're knee-jerk. They can feel like 0 to 100. Like we just, you know, you might name call, you might yell, you might, you know, start crying. I used to do that sometimes. When you get triggered in real time, if you don't notice this, like how these emotions and behaviors play out, like when you're not across it, then it almost happens without you even realizing, if that makes sense. So emotional intelligence gives you the ability to notice your triggers in real time. Okay, so instead of maybe snapping back or escalating an argument, you can pause, you can breathe. That is so it is so underrated, taking a big deep breath before you respond. Buys you time, like it's a circuit breaker, I promise you. And then you can respond intentionally and thoughtfully to get a better outcome or to have a more healthy discussion instead of just reacting impulsively. I used to dredge stuff up from the past, and then I would regret it, and then I would feel like I have to backtrack, and my husband would call me out or be like, why are you bringing that up, or that's unrelated, and I would be like, I'm grasping at straws, right? Because I'm emotional. So that stuff happens. Can't even remember. I was going to say so rarely. I can't even remember the last time, right? Because when we have a disagreement or an argument, we don't call each other names. We don't pull up stuff from the past. We can notice patterns and things like that, but that's different from like throwing something in someone's face. So the ability for emotional intelligence to help me particularly really start to pause before I react and say something back. Like, just think about it. That can prevent us from adding fuel to the fire, which just exacerbates and extends the conflict and takes it into this whole other realm where it didn't even have to be. So that one is huge. Number 2 is emotional intelligence helps you listen to understand, not just to reply. I don't know if you've ever met someone who you're in a conversation with them and it doesn't even matter what you're talking about, but suddenly you start to realize the moment you finish talking, they just are like jumping in with what they have to say, and it could be even unrelated. And you're like, are you even listening to what I'm saying? Like, you can pick it up. You can spot it a mile off, right? And it kind of pisses you off. Like, no one likes that. You're in a conversation to be heard and understood and to exchange information or, what's happening in life or what you're struggling with or what you need advice on, whatever it is. But like, if someone is not really hearing the message of what you're saying, they're just trying to like give advice at you, or they're just trying to wait till you finish so they can argue their point back. You're like, I don't really want to be in this conversation anymore. Like, thanks. So developing your emotional intelligence helps you to know how to stay present, how to truly listen, even when things get heated. That's probably the most difficult time for this, because we know that when emotions run high, our logic and our rational, reasonable thinking kind of goes offline, right? That's just what happens in the brain. The amygdala kind of sounds the alarm, and then all of our resources are spent in that emotionally dysregulated, fight or flight state. So what this does, and I think what really emotional intelligence helps us to be able to do, is create this space for like a resolution to happen, rather than just getting defensive or shutting down. Again, I was the queen of shutting down. It was my MO. It was what I did. And it was unhelpful. Like, it never ever solved the problem. Draining. Okay. So now we are both able to, I'm talking about me and my husband here, but like, this is with kids, this is with anyone. It has made us so better able to listen and really kind of hear between the lines. If this person is really upset or mad about something, then we are listening to what they're really trying to convey rather than just what we're hearing. Okay, number 3 is, oh my goodness, this is probably my favorite. Don't know why I put it in the middle of the list. Should have been first up. Emotional intelligence helps you take things way less personally. I promise you, this is like one of the biggest, shiniest gems that comes out of developing your understanding and ability to manage your reaction to your emotions. It's huge. It's huge. Okay. When you are emotionally aware, let's call it, when you have that self-awareness, you can recognize that the other person's behavior is a reflection of their state or their mood or their emotional landscape, right? Or their nervous system's response. We can go down that path. I love it. It is not a reflection of your worth or who you are or what you're trying to communicate. I always say that each person's emotions and experience are as true for them as yours are for you. But very often we invalidate it. We don't believe it. And then we take it personally. We're like, that's not a big deal. Why are you so upset about that? And then they get obviously upset or angry. And they will snap back at us and say, well, you never, or you always, right? We kind of get attacked. If we can dial up our emotional intelligence when we're in those heated moments, we will start to recognize that other person's behavior is a reflection of them, their state, how they're feeling, what they're going through, what they're thinking, how much they're struggling to maintain their calm in this moment. Like, we actually get out of our own head and we're like, this means something to you. you're not happy about it, or you're upset or stressed or whatever it is, right? Whatever that emotion is, that's what's going on for you. It just helps us to take things less personally, get defensive, then obviously, bite back and throw out an insult. Like that's the way things go. So what this does is helps to reduce that sting. It kind of alleviates some of those ego battles as well. I used to have them all the time. And it also, I think, can really help us to get out of that spiral of like, why are they attacking me? Why are they being so hurtful to me? And I want to just pause for a second and validate that in an argument, some people can attack each other, like verbally, right? Or otherwise. That stuff does happen, but I want you to almost like zoom out and think in the context of like the greater interaction that's going on. Everyone has their own nervous system where they get dysregulated and they lose that access to their frontal lobe where they think rationally, and they usually would never say really hurtful things and pull stuff up from the past and take jabs, at you. Like that's what happens to people and their brain and their nervous system when emotions are running high. If it happens to you, it can happen to them. So don't take their behavior personally. One of my favorite ones. Okay. Number 4 is you can name what is really going on beneath the surface when you dial up your emotional intelligence. What it does is helps you to really, I think, tune into the deeper need that is, let's say, beneath the anger or the sarcasm or maybe even the silence. It could be fear, it could be stress, it could be disappointment, it could be some kind of unmet expectations. It really does help you to respond with empathy and compassion, be more patient, be more tolerant, rather than just, adding fuel to the fire. I'm not saying you need to be a monk, but it starts to help us think a little bit more curiously instead of just flipping our lid and, exacerbating things. I love that saying, get curious, not furious, because when we're in these heated moments and these disagreements, right, the more that we can, like I just talked about, not take things personally, the more we can be curious about what is going on for this person. Why is this so important for this person to be explaining it or trying to prove their point or try to get that across to me? Like, what am I missing and why is this really valuable or meaningful to them? So when I just love the saying, I say it too much, but dial up our emotional intelligence and we switch that on and we get more, observant, and we become like a witness to what is really going on. We see beneath the surface and go, no wonder you are reacting like this. No wonder it means so much to you because of X, Y, Z. Like if it's someone that you know really well, you might know that, look, their mum has been in hospital for a couple of weeks. So that's just in the back of their mind. Or one of their kids has been diagnosed with something really awful, like a physical illness, and they're in hospital. Like that's just sitting under their, sitting on their nervous system, right? Maybe they've just lost their job. Or they're going to lose their job, or finances are really tight. Like we don't know what's happening behind closed doors with people. And sometimes that shit is like sitting there and that's driving some of this snappy, rude, argumentative kind of behavior. We have no idea. It's a reminder for me too, because sometimes I forget this stuff and I'm like, why is that person so rude? Why are they cutting me off in traffic? And I'm like, I don't know what they are going through. So dialing up our emotional intelligence helps us to really notice, even if we don't know what's going on beneath the surface, just question and be more curious. Okay, and here's the last one, number 5. This is emotional intelligence will help you to actually avoid unnecessary arguments altogether. This has happened, I can't even count the amount of times this has happened to me in my family with things, because you will become more aware of your emotions and your boundaries before they bubble over and you're like, why did that person, I can't believe it, they always tell me to, like before they bubble over, then you can more clearly communicate calmly early on. You can, think what's going on beneath the surface for that other person. You can prevent this conflict by prevent it from even brewing in the first place. That's kind of how I see it, right? When you understand your own emotions and you understand that these are like, they're not bothersome like interruptions, they're intel. Like, listen to them, learn from them, go, you know what? I'm getting really, it's like angry, or I'm getting frustrated, or I'm feeling resentful. That's a good one. That means something is bubbling for me. I have let something go too far, or I haven't stood up or, spoken up. Like this, rather than just next time you see that person, you give them an earful or you text them like, no. Like that stuff starts arguments, and we honestly can avoid conflict a whole lot more if we know what we're feeling, take steps to healthily, maturely communicate that or set some boundaries, right? And let me be clear, I'm not saying that we need to avoid all arguments and we need to totally avoid any fights or disagreements, or like, I'm not saying we need to live in a perfectly happy, chappy kind of rose-colored glasses world, but I'm saying sometimes it is healthy to think, do I need to talk to that person about this thing, or can I maybe make some changes myself, or can I, set some boundaries and communicate? Can I problem solve? Can I do these things instead? So they are my 5. I don't want to think of it as like a list, but I think these are some ways that we can have fewer fights and more peace as a result of dialing up our emotional intelligence. So like I said, they can help you during a disagreement or a conflict. They can help you before, sometimes avoid it altogether. And this stuff applies to adults and children. So if you're a parent like me, then use this information. Like, think about the last time you had a disagreement, or last time you got pissed off with someone in your home, or a neighbor or an in-law, like whoever, and go, did it need to go that far? Could I have done something or said something earlier? How do I tend to show up in fights? Like, I'm not talking about but you know what I mean? Like, how do I tend to behave? I know that I used to shut down, and I can still have that tendency now. I have to stay connected. Sometimes I take breaks. I'm not saying you have to stay there till the end until it's sorted out. Sometimes you need a break. That's okay. But I am so much more different than I used to ever be. I was so conflict averse, if that's even a word. And now I actually feel like I can hold my own. I can stand up for what I believe in. I can communicate a whole lot more clearly. It's not perfect. It's not perfect, but it's better. It's easier. Life is a whole lot less stressful than it used to be. And I often say this, in my videos and on the podcast, I'm like, our home is genuinely a really nice place to be. We still have emotions and we still have disagreements. That stuff happens, but it's not every day, and it's not draining, and it doesn't ruin our whole afternoon. I just want to say this stuff really matters. I want it to be in every single home. I want it to be in every single school. I want it to be in every single workplace. I just think about what would the future look like in another 10 or 20 years if everyone knew this stuff, and if this was just the way that people relate to one another. I'm getting all philosophical, but I love it, and I hope you love it, and I want to say thank you for listening or watching wherever you're coming from. It means a lot, and if you have kids, your kids, I want to say they'll thank you one day. Maybe they won't even know, because it'll just be normal to them. Wouldn't that be friggin' amazing? Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you sometime, somewhere online. Reach out to me if you have questions or you have feedback, email me or comment or whatever. I would love to hear it. Oops, I forgot to mention on my videos, sometimes I will remind you guys that I have courses on emotional intelligence. They are low cost, they are self-paced, they're all online. You can do them in your own home. If you just go to stephaniepinto.com/courses, then you'll find a bunch of them. Sort through, see which ones you like. Sometimes, actually most of the time, at least one of them is on sale, or we put it on a discount. And just check the show notes or underneath the YouTube description, because you'll find the link. But also at the moment, you'll find 2 free parent guides that you can download for free, digital guides. Okay, enjoy.